Hello and welcome to G Fun Facts Online, the show that uncovers the hidden forces shaping our world. Today, we're talking about money, but not the kind you read about on the stock market pages. We're talking about a quiet, powerful river of gold that flows unseen across borders, a river that is more than triple the size of all foreign aid combined. This is the story of migrant remittances, the money sent home by millions of workers toiling in foreign lands. These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. They are lifelines, engines of change, and the invisible threads connecting the destinies of nations. So let's follow the money and uncover the unseen hand that is reshaping the fortunes of the world. Let's start with a number that's hard to wrap your head around. In 2023, the amount of money officially sent home by migrants to low and middle-income countries hit a record $656 billion. Projections for 2024 push that figure to over $685 billion. To put that in perspective, this flow of money is more than 3 times the amount of all official development aid, what we typically call foreign aid. It often surpasses even foreign direct investment, which is when multinational corporations build factories or buy companies abroad. This isn't just a trickle, it's a torrent. In 2024, India is expected to be the biggest recipient, with a staggering $129 billion flowing into the country. Mexico is next at $68 billion, followed by China, the Philippines, and Pakistan. But the real story, the true significance of these flows, is felt most deeply in smaller nations. Imagine a country where nearly half of its entire economic output comes from money sent home by its citizens abroad. That's the reality for Tajikistan, where remittances are projected to account for 45.4% of its GDP in 2024. In places like Tonga, Samoa, and Lebanon, these financial lifelines represent a massive chunk of their national economies. And here's the kicker. These colossal figures are likely an underestimate. A huge portion of this money travels through informal channels, person to person, hand to hand, completely off the official books. So where does all this money go? It begins at the most fundamental level, the family. For millions, these funds are the primary source of income, a buffer against hardship. They are literally the difference between poverty and a life of dignity. Research has shown a direct link. One study in Latin America found that a 10% increase in remittances led to a roughly 7% drop in the number of people living in extreme poverty. The first priority is always the basics: food on the table, clothes on their backs, a solid roof over their heads. But once those needs are met, something amazing happens. Families begin to invest. They invest in their future. One of the most profound impacts of remittances is on human capital. Countless studies show that when this money flows in, spending on education and healthcare goes up. Families receiving remittances are more likely to keep their children in school, and this is especially true for girls, who in many parts of the world are the first to be pulled from education when money is tight. They can afford better quality schooling, maybe even private schools, opening up opportunities that were once unimaginable. In healthcare, this money means access to doctors, essential medicines, and better nutrition. The results are tangible. People live longer, and fewer children die from preventable illnesses. It's a direct investment in the health and education of the next generation. A study in Bangladesh, for example, confirmed a long-term connection between rising remittance inflows and an increase in the country's Human Development Index, which is a composite measure of health, education, and standard of living. Migrants aren't just supporting their families today. They are building a healthier, smarter, and more prosperous future for their communities. Beyond daily needs and human capital, remittances are now being recognized as a vital source of fuel for something else: entrepreneurship. In many developing countries, if you have a great business idea but no family wealth, your dream often dies there. Access to formal credit, like a bank loan, can be nearly impossible. Remittances fill this critical gap. They provide the seed money for someone to start a small retail shop, a local restaurant, or a much-needed service. Research shows this is especially true in rural and remote areas, where traditional financing is scarcest. A study across 47 developing countries found that more remittances led directly to a higher rate of new business creation. These small remittance-funded businesses don't just generate income for one family, they create jobs for neighbors and stimulate the entire local economy. It's a grassroots economic revolution, funded one wire transfer at a time. Now let's zoom back out from the household to the national level. For a country's economy, remittances act as a powerful stabilizer. They are a massive and, crucially, a stable source of foreign exchange. Countries need foreign currency, like US dollars or euros, to pay for essential imports like fuel and medicine, and to service their international debts. Other sources of foreign money, like corporate investments, can be incredibly volatile. They can flood in when times are good and vanish overnight when a crisis hits. But remittances are different. They are driven by family ties, not profit margins. This was proven during the 2008 global financial crisis and again during the COVID-19 pandemic. While other financial flows dried up, remittances remained remarkably resilient, providing a critical cushion that kept many developing economies afloat. This steady, predictable inflow of cash can even improve a country's creditworthiness, making it easier and cheaper for the government to borrow money for big development projects like roads and power plants. So how does this money actually make its journey? It travels through a complex network of both formal and informal channels. The formal channels are what you'd expect: banks, post offices, and well-known money transfer operators like Western Union or MoneyGram. These are regulated and secure, but they can be expensive. Fees and unfavorable exchange rates can take a big bite out of the money being sent. This has led to the rise of informal channels. This could be as simple as a friend carrying cash on a flight home, or it could be a sophisticated underground network like the Hawala system, which has operated for centuries based on trust. The main appeal is, of course, the lower cost. But the risk is huge. There's no legal recourse if the money gets lost or stolen. Despite these risks, it's estimated that between 35% and 75% of all remittances travel through these informal routes. And this points to a major problem: the high cost of sending money home. The global average cost to send $200 was 6.4% at the end of 2023. That's more than double the UN's Sustainable Development Goal target of 3%. In some corridors, the costs are shocking. Sending money to sub-Saharan Africa is the most expensive, and in some cases, sending $200 to a country like Tanzania can cost the sender an eye-watering $115 in fees. That's money taken directly out of the pockets of the world's poorest families. But there is hope, and it comes in the form of technology. The digital revolution is starting to tackle this problem head-on. Online platforms and mobile money apps are transforming the landscape. The average cost of sending a digital remittance is already significantly lower, at around 3.9%. Mobile money in particular is a game-changer. It allows people to send and receive funds directly on their phones, completely bypassing the need for a traditional bank account. This is revolutionary in rural areas where the nearest bank might be a day's journey away. It doesn't just cut costs. It dramatically increases convenience and acts as a gateway to other financial services like savings accounts or microloans. Looking ahead, even technologies like blockchain hold promise. By creating a secure, transparent, and shared ledger, blockchain could potentially cut out many of the intermediaries, simplifying international transfers and lowering costs even further. Behind all these billions of dollars in economic theories are deeply personal stories of hope and sacrifice. Take Ioannida in Timor-Leste. Her husband works in South Korea, and the money he sends home covers everything: their daily needs, care for his mother, and Ioannida's own university tuition. For her, remittances are a lifeline that provides not just for today, but hope for tomorrow. Yet she faces the challenge of high transfer fees, a constant barrier that eats into the hard-earned funds. Or consider a young man in Tunisia whose brother migrated and now sends money back regularly. Those remittances allowed their parents to make the Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca, a lifelong dream, and provide a safety net for the whole family in a country with few economic opportunities. These are not just financial transactions. They are acts of love, testaments to the enduring bonds of family, and proof of the incredible lengths people will go to provide a better life for their loved ones. The impact of this river of money extends far beyond economics, seeping into the social and cultural fabric of communities. For starters, it can be a powerful force for women's empowerment. When women are the direct recipients of remittances, they often gain more control over household finances and a bigger say in family decisions. This financial autonomy can boost confidence and elevate their role in the community. Furthermore, when women themselves migrate and become the primary breadwinners, they directly challenge traditional gender roles. And studies show that female migrants tend to send home a higher proportion of their income than men do, and are more likely to direct that money towards the health and education of their children. But it's not just money that gets sent home. Migrants also transmit what sociologists call social remittances. These are the ideas, values, and skills they pick up in their host countries. This can include new perspectives on democracy, gender equality, and human rights. For example, some studies have shown that families receiving remittances are more likely to get involved in local politics, not just by voting, but by contacting officials or participating in community initiatives. In many communities, this constant flow of money has created what's known as a culture of remittances, where sending and receiving money is a deeply ingrained social norm. This can have some amazing positive effects. We see the rise of hometown associations, which are organizations of migrants from the same village or town who pool their money to fund big community projects back home. They might build a new school, a health clinic, or repair a critical road, things the local government might not have the resources for. But this culture can also have a downside. It can create immense social pressure and a sense of dependency. Families might come to rely solely on remittances, which can stifle local economic initiative. And it can fuel a keeping up with the Joneses effect, where families feel pressured to display their new wealth through conspicuous consumption, which can create social tension and inequality. And that brings us to the challenges. While the benefits are huge, remittances are a double-edged sword. A long-standing concern is the brain drain, the exodus of a country's most highly skilled people, like doctors, nurses, and engineers. The loss of this human capital can be devastating for a nation's development. However, there's a fascinating counter-argument: the brain gain. The prospect of earning much higher wages abroad can actually incentivize more people back home to invest in education and skills. The result can be an overall increase in the number of skilled workers in the country, even after accounting for those who leave. The Philippines is a classic example. When demand for nurses boomed in the United States, the number of nursing graduates in the Philippines skyrocketed. Many did leave, but so many were trained that a significant number also remained, leading to a net increase in the country's nursing workforce. Another major challenge is dependency. If a family or an entire national economy becomes too reliant on remittances, it becomes vulnerable. A sudden job loss for the migrant worker or a change in immigration policy in the host country can have catastrophic consequences. Finally, remittances can worsen inequality. While they lift many out of poverty, they can also widen the gap between households that have a member working abroad and those that don't, creating a new form of social stratification. The story of migrant remittances is a story of global interconnectedness, written in billions of individual acts of sacrifice and love. It's a hidden economic engine, quietly and powerfully shaping the destinies of nations. While the challenges of brain drain, dependency, and inequality are real and must be managed, the overwhelming evidence points to the transformative power of these financial flows. The key to the future is to harness this power for good. Governments and international organizations are now focusing on policies to do just that, aggressively working to lower transfer costs, promoting financial inclusion by linking remittances to savings and credit, creating incentives for families to channel funds into small businesses, and engaging with diaspora communities not just as sources of cash, but as partners in development. By understanding and supporting this incredible human-driven phenomenon, we can ensure that this global river of gold continues to build bridges of opportunity, creating a more prosperous and equitable future for all. Thanks for tuning in to Fun Facts Online. Join us next time for another deep dive into the forces that shape our world.